the things you need to do before you travel. Prepare this way, guys, in order to avoid any form of inconvenience and risks.
Hello viewers, welcome back to Machine Art channel, and if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Today on this channel we will be talking about the things you need to do before you travel. Yes guys, traveling is an important aspect of man's life. You know, sometimes people travel for administrative purposes. They may want to go to an office and so on and so forth to process one thing or the other, do some documentation, interview, write exams, and so on and so forth. People travel for business purposes, to go and make purchases or to sell. People also travel to places for administration, but in terms of service delivery. They go to a place, deliver quality services, maybe electrical and so on and so forth, get paid for it. Or people may travel to their location in order for them to be taken care of. Alright? So you see, another reason for traveling may be because of tourism. You know, people travel to go and relax. People also travel for leisure. People travel in order to visit their loved ones or visit the locations that they want to visit. So you see, these and many more are the reasons why people travel. People don't just wake up and just start traveling. You understand? Yeah. So since traveling is one important aspect of life, when you want to travel, do you just wake up and just start traveling? What are some of the things you need to do in order to travel? Do you wake up and refuse to pack up your clothes, all the necessary documents and so on? The answer is absolutely no. Alright guys, so keep watching in order to know the things you need to do, how you need to get ready before you travel. Alright, so we're back now. I'm going to start with point number 1. One of the things you need to do before you travel is to ensure that all the things you need, all the clothes, the documents you need to get ready to travel with are in place. If you don't pack the kind of clothes you will be needing, say you're there for an interview and you pack all party wears, you see that you will not be able to dress for the occasion, right? Then another thing is, maybe you're there for business purpose and you need to dress, you know, in a way, a business way, and you dress like a person who will just go and sit in a place depending on the kind of business. You see, you may end up not having it right. Say you're going to the market to go and make purchases and you're wearing some kind of very tight clothing. I'm believing that you will have free movement to maneuver the market and make all your purchases. You may be lying to yourself. Alright, accept that the market is not big. Maybe you will just go to a store, Maybe you pick things up, put in the trolley, pick up, put in the trolley, and you just push the trolley and, take it to your boots and all of this and that. Except that, if you're going to be going from one point to the other to pick things, I tell you, don't make that mistake. Even when you're going to the store, I would not advise that you wear a very tight skirt or tight gown. It may not allow you to pick things from the store freely, let alone you're going to an open market to make purchases, the kind of purchases you really need for your household, for your office, for your business, and so on. Yeah, so ensure you have the right kind of clothing and the right kind of documents when you're traveling, depending on where you're going. First, I would say have a means of identification, have a passport. If you have an international passport, it should be better. If you don't, your national ID card identifying the country which you're coming from, and some other information like your blood group and so on and so forth. If you also have an ID card, a current ID card that can identify you with an office or with a job in case of any eventuality, that would be the advice for me to you. Ensure you have your ID card. Then let's say you're traveling to a location that you need a flight. You know that you need your passport. You need your passport. You may not necessarily need a visa, but at least you need some form of identification, because you don't just go with your ticket. Say you're traveling within West Africa as an ECOWAS member country or citizen, you will not need a visa if you are in Africa to travel to any part of West Africa if you are from West Africa, alright? Or you are in another country in the world and you just want to take a flight to any part of West Africa from that country or continent, you do not need a visa before you can travel to another part of West Africa. We have 15 countries under West Africa, under ECOWAS and also ECOMOG. Alright? So ensure you have your passport. It will identify you as the original person, the person who should be taking the flight, the person that the ticket is meant for. Right? Alright, so you see, packing up your things and your documents are key things. That's point number 1. Now, point number 2. How financially prepared are you before you travel? Ensure that you have enough money that is going to cover your transport fare, will cover your accommodation, your feeding, and even little money for emergency in case of any eventuality. Why am I advising? You have money, have the finance necessary for your trip. 1, you could be stranded without money. How do you book a hotel? How do you lodge? If you go to any country, any continent in the world, and you have money to do what? You have money to lodge, you will be able to stay in any location. Just locate a good hotel, a motel, or an inn and pay. And depending on how long you stay there, you may also get an apartment and pay for it. Now, when you have an apartment in a place, that will make you a resident of that place. So you see, as you move around, you know where you're going back to relax, because you have accommodation of your own. So you see, accommodation is key, and you need money for that. Then we have feeding. If you don't have money, guys, one may ask the question, how How do you intend to survive? How do you intend to feed? Do you want to be at the mercy of anyone because of food? You see, that would be wrong. You don't have to subject yourself. If you do not subject yourself, situations cannot subject you, because you are just traveling. You are not in your own location to say that things just happen naturally. Alright? Before you travel, you must have prepared for it. I see people that often end up begging because they don't have money to eat and they are on transit, or they've traveled to a place and they're stranded. I've seen people who end up on the street because they don't have accommodation. Some of them end up staying with people they don't want in order to get off the street. Some of them also end up being badly harmed. Like, if you know what Lagos State, Nigeria was like in time past, and many locations all over the world, you know that sometimes some people are kidnapped, ambushed, and some vital parts of their body will be taken out of them, and in the morning or after some time, you see their corpse deposited in one corner of the street. Like, this experience was in Ijora 7up, Lagos, Apapa, Lagos. You know, in time past, sometimes you could just see a dead body under the bridge. You know why? Because people lack accommodation. So you see, accommodation is key. Then your feeding is key. Then another thing is, aside from your accommodation and your feeding, do you have the money to facilitate the reason for your travel? Is it for administration? Is it for business? Did you prepare financially for it? Or you just go there and look at how the location is and just go back without achieving anything? So you see, these are some key things. So I know people that often get in a fix because of lack of finance or because they did not prepare. So you see, one, we talked about what? Preparing the clothes you need and the documents you need. Then preparing for money. The number 4th thing is you have to get an information about the place. There is what we call visibility survey. You must get information about the place. Even if you're not there, you can go on Google and try to get information. If possible, the pictorial representation of the place. Is there an aerial photograph? Is there a raster or even a vector image? An image of the place taken from the sky for you to see what the place looks like, and also the picture of the streets for you to see what the streets look like, so that you have an idea of where you're going to. Then number 2, under getting information about the place, you have to consider the security of the place. How secured is the place? Is it a kind of place that you may move freely? Can you move freely to all the streets? Or are there some streets that you may be restricted? That if you're to go there, you must meet some conditions. Or you're not to go there at all, except you know the reason why you're going there and with whom you're going there with. So security is also key. So get information about that place before you do what? Before you step foot in the place. You would have used maybe Google and get information. Then when you get to the location, go and do what we call visibility studies or survey. Go go around the place, get to know their markets before the needs you need to meet in the market meets you. Know the hospitals around the place, know the banks, know the name of the nearest streets, and even the street you live in. Just know the security companies around there, and also divisions, so that in case of an eventuality you may do what? You may report. Alright? So when you want to travel, don't just start traveling like that. Ensure you plan well. Ensure you are wise in order to avoid being risked out. Alright? So if you find this tutorial educating, if you find it interesting enough, please give this video a thumbs up, share with your loved ones, and subscribe to this channel for more uploads. Thank you.